Hey everyone, I hope you're well and I thank you for joining me today. And this topic, it's really close to my heart because having a resilient mindset, it's so essential. And not only for the success of your business, but also for your mental health and the people around you who support you in your business growth. And it's something that I really want to talk about. So today's the day. So to be resilient in business, it's one thing, right? But having a resilient mindset requires a whole other set of skills. And these skills don't just happen overnight. They take years to develop, and to be fair, more often than not, they only come through experience, but I can assure you that they can be taught, or at the very least, the resilient mindset skills which I'm about to show you, they can be applied if you know what to do and how to apply them correctly. And you know, the strong mindset techniques that I'm about to show you aren't just copied from other people's tips or searching on Google or copying it from someone else. You know, these are my very own resilient mindset techniques that I've developed over 30 years of running my own businesses, and it's worked for me so far. So strap yourself in and I want to show you my very own top 10 tips to building a resilient mindset. My name is Richard G-Cornell and I'm a business coach and mentor to startups, SMEs and corporate organizations. Now, I've been in business for about 30 years and in that time, I've seen a hell of a lot go on. So, you know, I'm also the founder and owner of an award-winning digital marketing agency here in Sydney, Australia, operating for about 27 years. Tip number 1, take ownership and don't give up. Remember, it was your choice to go into business. Now, just remember that with every decision that you make in your business, you're the only one who is responsible, yeah? And I'm probably right when I say that no one's put a gun to your head and forced you to go and start a business, right? Well, remember the feeling that you had when you first decided to go into business, as it was probably one of the best days in your life. And I know for me, it was one of the most liberating feelings I think I've ever experienced. And you need to hang on to that feeling, right? Especially when things go wrong and also when things go right too. It's easy to forget that. Now, keep reminding yourself of how good things felt when you had some wins and the elation that came with that. You know, you need to hold on to that thought. Why? Because no one can take that feeling away from you, and your brain certainly won't let you forget it, but sometimes it's just so easy to forget the good times as we often get caught in a downward spiral of self-doubt when things go wrong. And I'm also speaking from experience here when I tell you, you know, it's really hard to turn that self-doubt into positive thoughts, especially when you feel like that there's no way out and when you feel like that you're drowning, you know, it's a nightmare. But no matter the situation, you have to keep reminding yourself that with every challenge, there is a solution just waiting to be solved. And this is what I tell myself all the time. And I can assure you that some of my best business decisions have all come from when I was in my most deepest and desperate situations, when I felt that everything was hopeless. But 30 years of business experience reminds me of countless challenges that I overcame. And when I look back over the years, is how I'm able to justify to myself that I am capable and I will always find a solution. Why? Because I'm the one who decided to go into business. I'm the one who is responsible, and I'm the one who can achieve anything because I'm the one who's going to solve it. So dig deep, don't give up, as you only have yourself to make it work. Tip number 2, accept the laws of averages, right? You know, you can't win every time, and it's easier said than done to know this, but in business there are so many variables of things that can go wrong, you know, along with things that can go right as well. It's an ongoing game of cat and mouse. So when I say that you cannot win every time, it only means that you have to accept and expect the laws of averages that things will go wrong. And when they do go wrong, you need to remind yourself that this is all part of the journey. So essentially what I am trying to say is that if you can accept this way of thinking, then every time you are faced with a challenge that you think might be either unlucky or might be difficult to deal with, just remember that you have faced these struggles before and you will overcome them again. Tip number 3, playing the long game. Be consistent through your entire journey. This is really important. Now, have you ever heard the term, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day? Well, the same rule applies to business. Most businesses don't just become a success overnight, right? It takes years of hardship and sacrifice and longevity to really accomplish anything worthwhile. And through the journey, you need to stay consistent whilst also reminding yourself that every time you come up with a solution to a challenge, then you've achieved something, yeah? It's the small wins that keep us going to fight another day. And if you're consistent in your journey, meaning if you chip away at everything, you know, consistently, and you understand that the journey is what it's all about, then you'll be able to save your mind and your body a whole heap of unnecessary stress. And by telling yourself that it's okay for things to not go right today, and in knowing that you trust in your processes, then you can assure yourself that the future will be bright and everything will be fine. Tip number 4, look after your mind and body. Eat well, sleep well, meditate, and exercise. Now, this is one thing that is often overlooked by people who run businesses. Business owners often get caught in a vicious cycle of work, and they just often forget about their own health, right? And they usually are so focused on the health of their business that they tend to neglect the basic things like getting a good night's sleep, eating healthy and nutritious foods, exercising, and also taking the time to allow their mind and body just simply to relax, And I know it sounds so basic, but we all know all too well how important it is to look after our own health. But when you're in that rat race and every day it's easy to fall into a trap, I should say, of potential self-harm, And if you don't sleep well, then you can't make rational decisions. And if you don't eat well or exercise, then your body won't function well either. So, the key takeaway here is to understand the importance of a healthy lifestyle and making allowances to incorporate these fundamentals into your schedule. Just remember that if you don't have your health, then your business will suffer even more, and having a resilient mindset is only possible if you are healthy. Tip number 5, it's not the end of the world, With each new day comes new opportunities. And ever heard of the term, tomorrow's a new day? Well, it's so true, The sun will always come up, and with it comes more opportunities and possibilities. Now, what is in the past is in the past. And even though it's much easier said than done, you cannot dwell in the past to the point that you're always looking backwards and not focusing on the opportunities that lay ahead. Very important takeaway. Keep reminding yourself that you can only control what you can control. And I know it's difficult, but you can't control the past, but you can certainly be in control of the decisions that you make moving forward. Now, there have been hundreds of times over my 30 years of business when I thought that everything was about to turn to absolute shit and that I wouldn't come out of a bad situation like I had. But 30 years on, I'm still here, and that world-ending event that it seemed at the time were just experiences that now I've attached to them. So now I can sort of see the process that I got through them, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. So just keep that in mind when everything feels like everything's just turning so bad that you can't see your way out of it. Which brings me to tip number 6. Don't keep it inside. Surround yourself with positive people who can help. Now, I talk about this in tremendous detail in one of my other videos where I talk about how entrepreneurs experience loneliness, right? And it's really worth watching because this identifies all the reasons why business owners always feel like they're on their own. And in the video, I highlight the importance of surrounding yourself with people who can support you. And I think that it's probably one of the most important things to do in your business journey. It is vital that you only surround yourself with positive people and people who you can rely on for advice, or simply a shoulder to lean on, when you're feeling down. Now, business isn't for everyone. I've said it before and I'll say it again, and only really the strongest survive, right? But you can survive better if you have the ability to talk about everything, even if you don't get the answers for your business, but more through just being able to vent and get things off your chest. Now, so try not to keep things bottled up for too long, as this will only make things worse for your mental health. Tip number 7, be kind to yourself and don't be your own worst enemy. I've been doing it for years, but I know from my own experience that I have always been my toughest critic, right? And this can get really exhausting, but over the years, I've learned to develop skills which remind me to be easier on myself, and this has paid me back tenfold. I suppose that as entrepreneurs, we need to hold on to ourselves, hold ourselves to account all the time. But it's also equally important to remember to tell yourself that you are good and you are strong and that you are successful. Learn to congratulate yourself from time to time by going easy on yourself and remind yourself of all the small wins, because the small wins will compound in time. Like when I was earlier referring to being consistent, well, the same rule applies here. And you should be your biggest fan. And whilst also being able to hold yourself to account, be accountable for what you do, you can't always be tough on yourself to the point that all you're only ever going to remember will just be that. You need to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and this will be your way of being kind to yourself. Now, it's a very simple and easy rule to apply, but one that will end up giving you much needed respite from the ongoing challenges on a daily basis. Tip number 8, help others where you can. Being selfless will help you appreciate everything just that little bit more. Now, in this life of hardship and struggle, it's often easy to forget that there are people out there who are worse off than us, right? And it doesn't even mean to be about money or, it can be about people who struggle in a number of ways, from their health to their family dynamic, or even just simply being lonely, yeah? And we as entrepreneurs, we're constantly having to fight for everything and make sure that, we will be okay. And if we expect to rely upon people to help us in our journey, then we also need to pay them back in a way, right? And we can do this just with simple gestures of being there for people when they need us, or, when you can help, or even help other business owners in your own network when they need a helping hand. A kind word from time to time may not seem like much to you, but remember how good you felt when a kind word of encouragement helped you to keep moving forward. And this life is certainly not easy, but being able to help others where you can in any way will give you some gratification and will also help you appreciate what you have even more. Tip number 9, having a plan B is an excuse. Now, know where you are now and know where you want to be in the future. Having a plan B, in my opinion, is merely an excuse and justification for not making it. If you go into business with the mindset of thinking that if it doesn't work, then you'll simply pack it up and do something else, right? Then you are not all in. And by being all in means there is no room, no option for failure, right? This tip is so important because if you know in your mind that you have no options other than to achieve your goals, then you will do everything in your power to follow through and make it work. Now, understand where you are now, like I said before, and where you want to be in the future, and make sure you implement all the steps to get there. It's like, a trapeze artist who is scaling a high wire and there's no net underneath them, right? This is an analogy which I thought there's just no room for error, and the same rule applies in your business. But all your focus should be on your business with no excuses or alternate plans should you fail. So constantly focus on this mantra and your mind will get used to the grind and learn to accept the struggle and the whole journey as it unfolds. Tip number 10, revisit tip 1. It's your choice. Remind yourself of challenges that you have overcome, right? Now, be content with the reason why you went into business in the first place. This was your choice for yourself to have a better life. It was your choice to be in control of your own destiny. It was your choice to want more out of life. So if you know this, then remind yourself of this all the time, especially when things are getting you down. Very important, and I know difficult to apply, but you've got to try to do it. Now, I want you to look at the alternatives of what your life would look like if you weren't in control of your own destiny, and then be happy with your decisions. Contentment, it's just one of the most fulfilling and rewarding feelings that one can have, especially in business. Being happy with your decisions just makes everything feel worthwhile, right? And your journey isn't going to be all roses, and that, the mental skills, you need the mental skills to understand this better. So trust in the process of being content and not yearning for things which are not relevant. This is something that has always given me solace when things are tough. Now, I always try to imagine what the alternatives would be like, and I can honestly tell you that the alternatives are a nightmare. And this is truly what keeps me going, by putting one foot in front of another and just keep moving forward. Now, this wraps up my video for today, and I hope you enjoyed this content, and I also hope that you're able to take something away that can help you be easier on yourself to ensure that you can build a more resilient mindset. So let me know in the comments below if you have any resilient mindset techniques that may differ from mine, or how your own mindset techniques have helped you in your business journey. And also, I'd ask you to please subscribe. I've got a ton more videos coming out, so if you'd like to see more videos than this, I would really appreciate for you to subscribe. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.